Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my home. My name is Becky. I'm so excited that you're here today. Well, we're in the car right now because we're getting ready to go on an adventure. And actually, we're not going on an adventure. We're just going to the Hobby Lobby. But the Hobby Lobby can be an adventure if you make it an adventure, right? Anything can be fun if you make it fun. So we're going to pick up a few items because I have a project that I want to do. It is the holiday weekend. I do have Monday off. I would love to be able to spend Monday making this project because we don't really have plans. I've told you guys before, we live in a very touristy community. So usually when it's a holiday like this, we kind of stay home. We just stay as far away from all the traffic as possible, and we didn't actually plan a trip this time ourselves, so we're just kind of hanging out at home. David's going to be working in the garage. As a matter of fact, he's doing that right now. I'm looking at a little cutie working on a table right now for little Lily and Tanner, so he's probably going to be doing that. Summer will be around, I'm sure, but I thought what we would do Monday is I have a project in mind. Now, I will tell you, this was not my idea. This was Summer's idea, but I thought it was genius. Let me put a picture here on what we saw. Summer and I and Lily, we went shopping the other day. We went to the Home Sense in Wilmington, and we saw something that I have never seen before. I've seen it online, but I've never seen it in person. And it's those animated pumpkins that have the grumpy looking faces and all. Well, I have 3 of them. I have 2 from 2 years ago and 1 from this year, or 2 from last year, 1 from this year, and they're cute as they can be. But what we saw, let me show you the picture, is a piece by Catherine's collection, and it was $100. So it basically, what it is it's a grumpy pumpkin with these arms coming out, and the arms are like vines, and they have, like, if their face is all scrunched up, they have the vines like this, and they're just really animated and really cool looking. I got to actually see one in person, and I got a closer look at them, so I think I can do it. I think I can replicate it. So that's what I want to do. I also have another project that is pretty popular this year, and it is the ghost buckets. So I want to duplicate that and try to make one of my own. So we're going to go to the Hobby Lobby. We're going to get all the pieces that we need to do these projects, and then when we get back, it'll probably be Monday before we get started. I'm not sure. It's just according to how my day goes. Maybe we'll start today, who knows, but regardless, we're going to make these projects. Whew. Someone should have warned me not to go to Hobby Lobby in Myrtle Beach on Memorial Day weekend. Someone should have told me. I'm holding you all accountable. All right. I guess I got what I need. I'm not sure. Here's what I picked up. I picked up this ivy vine, and I was showing you, I'll show you here. There was 2 different ones to choose from. A lot of times in Hobby Lobby, you can look in a different section and you can find the exact same thing, only better and cheaper. Especially like during Christmas, you can do that as well. You can find the same thing in the Christmas section, and it's already marked 50% off because none of this was on sale today. But I wanted to go ahead and get it so that I would have it for the weekend. And then the other thing that was kind of comparable was the wire. Now, I just assumed I was going to go get bare wire, and it was, you know, it wasn't like crazy expensive, but it was also a little on the thin side. And I saw this, which was a lot thicker and more in line of what I think I'll need. So, and it was, of course, it didn't have quite as much, but it was pretty thick, and I think this is going to work better. And then I picked this up, which is $1.99, and that's just going to give me another type of greenery on the arms. I also picked up a big thing of Mod Podge because I think I'm going to need it. And I got this for my ghost bucket. Although I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to put the handles in here because it's terracotta and it will bust. I looked for something like a paper mache shaped type situation like this, but I couldn't find it. So I got that, and we may just not have handles on our bucket, but that's okay. All right, we're gonna try to get out of here without losing our mind. And I don't know if we're gonna do this today or Monday. Either way, I will see you guys back at our crafting circle. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday morning. It is a gloomy, rainy day, and we're going to start crafting on our project. I've got everything set up here on the coffee table. I've got my tree lit up behind me. I've got Gilmore Girls on the TV. I've never watched Gilmore Girls. This is going to be the first time I've watched it, but I just want to show you what we're going to be doing first. So I bought this pumpkin from TJ Maxx, and I told you when I bought it that the painting around the eyes was really sloppy. So before I start working on the arms for him, I want to do an updated paint job on him. So I've just got some simple colors, orange, brown, white, and black, and I might mix some things. Maybe I'll come in here with some depth, you know, like shadows and depth, and just kind of make him just a little prettier. So we're going to do that first. So we're just going to give him a little facelift. I noticed when I bought him that the paint job was just done really sloppily, and as I was standing in line, I contemplated even getting it because it was so sloppy. But as I was looking at it a little closer, I thought, I can fix this. It shouldn't be too hard. It's just a matter of just going in and straightening some lines up. So what I did was I just went around his eyeliner or his eyelids and just finished that up with an orange, and then I made the circles of his pupils and his iris and all of that. I just made them a little straighter and brightened them up just a little bit. Then I went in with some brown and just went in through all of the creases and the indentations in his face and just made his wrinkles pop out just a little bit. And I will say this, keep in mind if you're doing a project similar to this, if you're going to be repainting something, keep in mind the finish of the piece that you're painting. So my little pumpkin guy had a matte finish. So when I'm painting, you really can't tell that the paint doesn't really stand out, it just blends in. But if this were a glossy piece, then you probably wouldn't be able to do this exactly the same. The paint finish would stand out. So you'd either need to adjust the type of paint that you use to a glossy paint, or you'd have to paint the whole entire thing. Mine just kind of blended right in, which made it perfect. On the back of the pumpkin, when it was just a little smoother and I wasn't actually going in the indentations, I just put some paint on there and then just smoothed it out with a wet washcloth, and it just worked out perfectly. All right, here's what it looks like with all of my touch-ups. I touched up the stem as well, although I'm not sure how the project's gonna go. This may be kind of covered up a little bit when we start adding the hands, but I think it looks better. I mean, it's not perfect. This was real easy. It was just a matter of just going into the indentions, and I took this wet cloth here and just kind of smeared it, and it just kind of smoothed out all the imperfections, so it worked out well. And anywhere where there was like a little indentation, that's where you want a different shade of paint. But that's it. Anyway, that's it. We're gonna move on to part 2 of this project. All right, so we've got our here, let me show you. It's called Grapevine Wire, and it was in the wreath section at Hobby Lobby. $5.99. This may go on sale. Nothing was on sale for me this week, so I'm not sure. Just hopefully it does go on sale every other week. So I've got it kind of pulled out here, and I'm just kind of picturing in my head how I want his hands to be. So I was kind of thinking about maybe one up here on his face. So I've got, that's still not dry yet. I've got this wire kind of started here. So if we were to come out and do like this, so I'm gonna make him some fingers, and I'm just kind of taking it and I've never done this before, okay? So this is just off the top of my head. I feel like his fingers should be long, so I'm gonna make them a little bit longer than what I was doing, and I need 5 of them, and then kind of bending it like that, and then we'll just play with it as we go. But here's a hand, kind of, sort of, if you squint your eyes. And then I'm just gonna kind of wrap it to give it a little bit more strength, and then start with that. So I'm gonna cut this and just maybe bend it a little bit around his head just to see if that's gonna be long enough. Hopefully it is. I made it a little extra long. Okay, all right. So fingers, this needs to be wrapped to close the hand up. And then maybe just wrap all the way around here. Now, in the original piece, it's they kind of use like soft fabric to hold it together. And I really didn't want to do that. I wanted to make mine more rustic looking. So I think I'm gonna go get some paper bags and rip them up and maybe try to do like a paper mache type technique. But this is kind of the idea that I have here. So if he's just got his hand there on his head, you know, and once we get the paper mache going around, it'll take more of a shape of fingers, hopefully. Or we could do like, I don't know, I think this is gonna be the best option right here, is on top of his head. All right, so I'm gonna go get my Mod Podge and my brown paper bags and start ripping them up. And then, that's just too cute. And then I think the other one can come around, if you can see what I'm talking about. The other one can kind of come around here and maybe lay on the table like that. What do you think? Okay, so here's what I've come up with, and I'm probably going to get a little bit more wire and kind of just tighten all this in a little bit. But here's my design. So he's got one hand up on his face and one hand here on the table. And I've got all this paper here, which basically just came from a Food Lion bag. I've got gloves, and I put some plastic in there in a bowl, and we're gonna pour Mod Podge in there. So basically what I'm gonna do is dip the strip of paper in the Mod Podge, squeeze it out, and then wrap it around the wire. Now let me just tell you all, I want to warn you ahead of time if this project looks like something you'd be interested in doing. This was a very, very messy project. Thank goodness I had gloves. I wish they had been not so ill-fitting because I had to keep pulling them back on my hands. I had to put a plastic trash bag down on my table. Thank goodness I did that. I had it in my hair. I had Mod Podge on my clothes. I mean, it was everywhere. It was a messy, messy project. It was worth it. I'm glad I did it. I don't regret it. The final product turned out adorable and, you know, fine. But if you are interested in doing this project, please be full aware of how messy it is. just warning you. But all you do is you just take the little scraps of paper. The only thing I had to use in my home was a Food Lion shopping bag. So it was free, it was here. I grabbed it, I shredded it up, and I just kind of put it in the little bowl of Mod Podge, and then squeezed off the excess, and then wrapped it around the wire. It did take a little while to dry, probably a couple of hours total. I got tired of waiting on it to dry and ended up finishing the project with it still a little damp, but it was still dry enough for me to work with. And then this is just a close-up of how I wrap the fingers up. But this is what it looks like so far. And as you can see, this is not quite sticking, so I'll come back later with some hot glue to make it kind of hold. But all I did was just kind of wrap up I took the paper and then just twisted it like that, and then made it look like a vine, and then just wrapped it around the hands. So this is what it looks like. It was quite a messy job, so make sure you've got plastic laid down for your table and your clothes. So I'm gonna let this dry. I think I'm gonna put maybe some around the stem and then have a little snack, and hopefully within an hour this will be dry enough for me to start working, gluing and attaching to the pumpkin. All right, so the hands are drying, and for the time being we're gonna start working on our ghost. I bought one of these ghosts on Amazon, and this little guy right here, as little as he is, was about, I think, $12–13. I can't remember. But this is kind of the idea about what we're going for. So this one's going to be a little bit bigger if it turns out okay. And I have this air dry clay that I got from Hobby Lobby. It's a year old, so it's a little, I'm having to kind of finagle it a little bit. But basically what I want to do is take the clay and get little wrinkles down at the bottom here, and then maybe come up a little bit to give it some dimension. So I'm just going to kind of take this clay and knead it out a little bit, make it a little softer to work with, and then we're just going to kind of put it down here, because this is going to need some time to dry as well. So that's why I say this is probably, between the two of these projects, it's probably going to be a couple of days to get everything done. I'm not sure, but it's not really wanting to stick to this terracotta, so this may be something that we have to come in later and glue as well. Or it may stick, I don't know, we'll see. But basically all I'm doing is just kind of making like a skirting of a sheet, if that makes sense. Makes it look like a sheet. And I'm just gonna play around with this for a little bit. It does not have to be perfect though, because we're gonna come in later with some paper and Mod Podge like we did the hands of the pumpkin, and kind of hide all the imperfections. Basically we just want the shape with the clay, if that makes sense. Okay, so the ghost project is going to be a bust for today. I'm going to keep it all in here so you can see what I was doing and know not to do it yourself, but it's just not sticking to the terracotta at all. It's just not sticking. And even if I come back and I glue it, I've got to worry about it falling apart in the meantime while I'm working around, and it's making me anxious, and I'm not enjoying it. So we're just going to stop this project, put it off for a different day. We're going to focus on our pumpkin and just make sure this looks good. I remembered working with this clay back last Halloween when I made my Billy Butcherson head, and it did the same thing. I was quite frustrated, but I did finish that project, but it's such a fragile piece that I'm constantly worried it's gonna fall apart or start cracking. So let's just worry about our pumpkin today, and maybe on a different day I'll come back and I'll revisit the ghost idea. It's a good idea. I just need to learn how to execute it the way I have it in my head. The clay was always the way that I wanted to go, but it's not working, so I need a different approach. So let's put our attention back to our little pumpkin man. I love him. So our hands are not quite dry yet, but I think they're gonna be dried good enough to go ahead and get started. Here's what they look like. They look like creepy vines, I think. Now we can always add some brown paint to this to make it have a little more dimension. What I'm doing right now is I'm just gonna add a little glue like to the places that didn't quite stick down perfectly. And I've got my little finger protectors here for that. And then I also made some extra ones like this one, which that one accidentally got the Food Lion logo wrapped up, so we'll definitely have to paint that one. But I just made some extra ones, and so what I would do is just kind of wrap it around like maybe one of these fingers, for example. You can see, just wrap it and make it look like a vine. So that's what I'm gonna do right now, just kind of secure everything with some hot glue, and hopefully it'll hold since it's not 100% dry. You can still see some of the Mod Podge that's still white, but we got to get going on this project because it's already 12:30. Now let's add a little bit of dimension. I've got just a little scrap paper here. I'm gonna put some dark brown paint down, and I don't know, we'll use this one. Let's see how it turns out. I know I have to cover some of this blue. I'm just gonna kind of brush over the top to just give it the slightest bit of dimension. And then I'm gonna take my hairdryer to it so that we can dry this a little quicker, because I'm ready to attach these beautiful hands to my pumpkin man. You even see what I'm doing? Hopefully you could see all that. I may have had it too far away from the camera, but see what I'm doing? I'm just ever so slightly brushing over the top, anywhere that has a crinkle. We'll do the inside too. So now we're going to add our hand. I've got the details put in the little hands. It's pretty dry, somewhat dry enough. This one's gonna be, I think we decided like this. How did we decide that? Or was that? How did we decide to do this? Can't remember now. This was on this side here. And this was kind of coming around like this. So he could be scratching his head. This is very bendable and pliable, and you can change it however you want as you're going. But there we go. That's how it's going to look right there. Can you see? So what I have to do is just glue it down now that I have it in the spot that I want it. And I got to be positive that that's where that's going, because I don't want to mess up my the integrity of my pumpkin at all. So I'm just gonna kind of go a finger at a time maybe and glue her down. Some of these fingers you want kind of sticking up. You don't want them all laying down flat. And then I'm gonna glue here and down here and then back here, and then I'll do the same thing on this side, and then we'll come back and we'll add some embellishments. I want to show you the back real quick. So it's kind of, I don't want it underneath it so much because I don't want it to make the pumpkin uneven. So I just went down here, I just got it laying right up under the edge, and I just went under there and I put a row of hot glue, and we're just gonna let it attach itself like that. So here's our first one, and it's perfect. Oh, sorry, you can't see. All right, here's the first one, and then I'm gonna come in here with this other hand. Maybe I'll put a little bit of glue right here too, just to make sure, just for good measure. This glue is so hot, sometimes it drips, so I want to make sure it doesn't drip down on his face. All right, now we're going to come in from behind and do this arm. And this arm is just basically is going to kind of lay on the table like that. So I'm just going to glue it to the bottom in every place that it attaches, like right there, because I don't want to hide its little mouth at all, because that's part of the character, you know. And then I'm going to put some there, and then I'm going to come back in the back and do the same thing and just attach it all together. So I'm just going to put a bunch of glue here, and then hope it all just attaches. I hope I don't get this on my table, which it'll come off, but still. All right, I'm gonna let that dry just a little bit. Yeah, I got a little bit on my table. I got to get that up. And then we're gonna come back with some embellishments and make it a little more detailed. All right, so this is how it's looking so far. So stinking cute. Oh my goodness, here's the back. Looks good back there. Okay, you can see where I smeared a little bit of paint. I gotta fix that, but I'll do that later. All right, so I do love this wire here, even though I bought it to cover up things with. I think I'm gonna take a little bit of it and cut it into a smaller, more manageable piece. Maybe take my pen and wrap it around there to give it like a vine effect, and then find a place to add this in here, like maybe coming out of here somewhere. You see what I'm doing? I need to bring the camera a little closer, but we're gonna have leaves here too, so we can kind of stick that in there. And maybe even take some and wrap it around the actual arms, like weave it in and out, maybe, without tearing anything up. So I think I'm gonna take my time and do this so I don't mess anything up, but you get the point that I'm just kind of wrapping it around the hands. And then I'm gonna do the same with this. Again, I got this from Hobby Lobby, and I'm gonna open it up real quick. This right here is gonna be kind of tucked in from the bottom, maybe just sporadically. Those were only $1.99 each, but I think if it's gonna work the way I have planned, this will just be kind of wrapped around my arms, just kind of the same as that wire. Just have to get smaller, more manageable pieces to work with. I think it's going to be cute. I like it like it is without the greenery, to be honest. It's really cute just the way it is, but I think in order to make it look like the Catherine's piece, we do need to doll it up just a little bit more. All right, I'm gonna play around with this for a little bit and see what I can come up with, and I'll be back in just a second. My favorite part of a project is when you start getting towards the end and it's time to start adding all of the final touches, and those are the parts to me that make the project come to life. And that's exactly what's happening as I'm adding these vines to my little pumpkin man. He's just kind of taking a life of his own on. All of his personality is coming through. It's just going to make the biggest difference by adding this, I guess, different layer, different element to what I've done already. It did not take a lot of the vine to do this. Honestly, I probably only used a couple of feet out of that big roll. When I bought that big roll, I was thinking, well, I want more bang for my buck, so I'm gonna get this. It was only $4, but I have a ton of it left. So if I decide to do this project again on my other two pumpkin men, I certainly have everything I need to do it. So I will tell you at the end how much the total project costs, but if I do decide to do this project again with one of my other little pumpkin guys, I won't even have to go out and buy anything because I've got plenty of materials left over. It did not take much at all. So what I'm doing is I'm just making sure everything is good and tight. I'm adding a little glue if there's a place that needs it, just to make sure everything is nice and secure. I'm up at the top where the stem is now, and originally what I wanted to do was take some of the paper mache twine and wrap around that, but I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. So I ended up taking a little bit more of the greenery and adding that to the top, and I think that looks a lot better. And then the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm looking for my wire. I took that wire and just wrapped it around my pen to give it a little twirly vine effect, and I'm just tucking that in a few places. And then finally, the last thing that I'm going to do to this pumpkin is take the larger size leaves and just tuck them in wherever I see fit. That little bundle of leaves was only $1.99. It was in the wedding section. I'm not sure if I mentioned that or not, but it was just a small, I didn't need a whole big bundle of greenery. I just needed a small bundle, and I love going in that section to get that little bit of something that I need, so I don't have to pay a lot for it. And I just kind of broke it up into smaller pieces, more manageable pieces, and just added it in where I thought it would look nice, and just tucked it here, tucked it there, and it just all magically came together. It just looks so pretty in the end. All right, I'm all done with my little pumpkin man. I think he turned out absolutely adorable. I added it all up, and I've got about, including the actual pumpkin, I've got about $28 in him. That does not include the Mod Podge, because I usually keep Mod Podge on hand. That was just some that I got to replenish my supply back there. So the wire was $6. The greenery, this greenery was $3, and this greenery was $2. I used brown paper bags, recycled paper bags, and the little pumpkin itself was $16.99 from TJ Maxx. I've got 2 more of these that I could possibly do this to. I don't know, maybe a different day, a different time, but I think he turned out absolutely adorable. I'm so glad Summer gave me the idea to do this, because $28 compared to $100, and honestly, $100 is if you find them in the store. If you cannot find them in the store and you want one, and you go like on eBay or Mercari or something like that, they run around $300, $400 is crazy. But this is my Catherine's Collection dupe. I think he turned out absolutely adorable. And I absolutely love him. I can't wait to put him out for Halloween. All right, everybody, that's all that I have for you for today. Thank you for hanging out with me today. It was an awesome Labor Day of just being at home, the rain falling. It's been just a nice, quiet, peaceful day. I've enjoyed every second of it. As always, I do appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with me. Until next time, I love you all, and I'll see you later. Bye.